All right, here we are. Hello, welcome everybody. Um, let's see. All right, so for today, as I mentioned last week, I would like to focus the stream on explaining a little bit about my incoming launch of a Patreon account and to talk a little bit about my personal project that I will be for which I will be using Patreon to support the work needed for it. So I will do a little presentation on the beginning, or well, I might wait a little bit until there are a little bit more few of you, and I will talk a little bit about first about the project itself, just a very quick. Not getting too much into details. I can get into more details later during the Q&A time. So if you have more questions, I will be more than happy to go in depth about the project itself. And yeah, so a little presentation, and then also what is the idea of what I want to do with Patreon, and how I have planned it, and the things that I have I thought to divide into different type of tiers and stuff like that, and then yeah, we'll let the Q&A start, and in the meanwhile I might be painting a little bit of the previous Inquisitor that I was doing last week. We'll see. I don't know. Let's see how things evolve, and if I need to be very focused talking about all of these, then I will not paint that much. But if there is not so many of you and there is not so many questions, then I will be more focusing on painting. So yeah, we'll see. All right. Juan Toledano, hello. How are you doing, man? All right. So as I said, since I will wait a little bit to start with talking about the project. So let's see. All right. So I will be just give some minutes, and then I will, regardless of how many of you are here, I will do a small presentation for the project. But I hope that you all had a fantastic week. I certainly did. It's very nice weather here in Sweden, believe it or not. So, and I'm finally not sick anymore after a very long period of being sick, as you might know. So that feels fantastic. And with a lot of exciting things, of course, with this thing with the Patreon and the project. So yeah. Also, of course, I haven't said anything, but I have a date for release for the first episode of the Space Marine tutorial. So it should be, if everything goes according to plan, the 22nd of this month. Juan, no pressure. about the subtitles. But yeah, so lots of exciting things happening, which it's very good and very terrifying at the same time. So, all right, let's see what we can do with our Mr. Inquisitor here while we wait a little bit for more people to join. So I remember that we were talking about the fact that this guy, Juan Toledano, is he from an order or not decided yet? It's not decided yet, but we talked. I remember we talked about the different alternatives, and I personally think that it would be more fitting if he's from the Ordo Hereticus. So some sort of witch hunter or something like that. That's what I had in my mind. But of course, I'm more than open to suggestions. And if we dig a little bit deeper in from that perspective, I'm thinking that he would be a very hardcore Puritan. So he despises psychers and witches. And he's a little bit mad. And in my head is that he is kind of paranoid. So he see possible heretics everywhere, and yeah, so or something along those lines. I'm not sure, but that's kind of the how I'm constructing the character while I'm working on him. So also, I originally thought about putting like a staff, thinking that he could be a psyker, but obviously now, if he's gonna be the opposite, then of course I can go with something completely different. But I kind of like these vertical elements in doing this diagonal here. So I think instead of removing it, I'm thinking of what can I put there instead, but still keeping it as a compositional element for the character. So to me, the obvious choice, I feel like some sort of gigantic sword that he can only wield thanks to the power armor extra strength, because he's old, he's weakened, so he wouldn't be able just to lift such a big weapon by himself. I mean, even, and to be honest, even if he was on his prime, it would be a very difficult thing to to use, right? From a realistic point of view, which is how I like to envision these type of things. So maybe with some enhancements in his body or something like that, or some bionics perhaps. But at least as I see it at the moment, he's just old at this point, and he can only do field missions and go into combat situations and stuff like that, thanks to the power armor that he's wearing. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to. Juan Toledano, I'm doing an Inquisitor too, but this is going to be from the Order Xenos. Nice. Those are actually the ones that I like the most, personally. So cool. I definitely would like to see it. Luis Ramon. Hi Miguel, how are you? Very nice. Very nice. I'm very good. Thank you, Luis. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing, man? I'm doing pretty fine, actually. David De Luca. Hi Miguel, how are you doing? Any news on the tutorial about Space Marines? Well, like always, David, a pleasure having you here. And yes, there are news. So I mentioned it before you joined. We have a release date, and I will have to make a public announcement this week. The first episode will be released the 22nd of this month. So that's in a week and a half. So yes, it's happening finally. What I'm gonna do once they are released, what I'm gonna be talking about in my streams, right? So yeah, very exciting. Very, very exciting. Just waiting on the final stuff with the subtitles that Peter and Juan Toledano are helping out with. And thank you guys once again. So yeah, very, very happy. Luis Ramon, I finally finished the moving. The nightmare has finished. All right, Luis, congrats. That's fantastic to hear. I'm very happy for you. So are you completely settled now? Or still having hundreds of boxes all over the place? But yeah, anyway, just being on the new place, I guess it must feel fantastic. Right? Just the relief that everything is just behind. Shmovitz, hello, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Juan Toledano, maybe some kind of crosshair. Yeah, like he's partially using it to leaning on it. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that could be as well. The only thing is that I'm thinking that because no, I mean, I don't know. This is just in my head, but since anything that resembles a staff, and especially if it's a long one, it tends to be identified with psychers and stuff like that. I would like to have something a little bit different, so there is no mistake, and that's why maybe a big badass sword could make it work. But a good idea. I'm not discarding it for sure. Mm, 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 mm. I'm thinking that this should be slightly to the uh, why is this not moving? Uh, Slightly to the right. So now it stands on the centered. Luis, the worst part is finished, the movie in itself, but there is a million of boxes everywhere, but it's okay. Thanks a lot. Well, yes. Yeah, the classic. But yeah, then the worst is behind, and that must feel fantastic. So I'm happy for you, man. I said last week, I've, there are a few things that I hate most than moving. Um, yeah, so much stress. And the older you get, uh, more things there are to worry about during a move. So yeah, and so many things can go wrong, and so much. Yeah, I hate it. So happy for you, man. Mr. Jones, hi Miguel, your artwork is fantastic. Thank you for your processes sharing. Well, Mr. Jones, first of all, welcome to the stream, and thanks a lot for such kind words. I'm glad to hear that you are liking them, and yeah. So what can I say? Thank you, and you're welcome, I guess. Um, all right, I think it's time to do a little bit. Put our inquisitor a little bit on a small pause or break, and talk a little bit about my project, right? Which is what I wanted to focus this stream about. So let me just let me put a proper background for it. Let me. Yeah, that should do it. All right. So yes, my project that I've been talking or mentioning or suggesting during a long time, um, it's about space pirates, um, and it's called the Brethren of the Clouds. So, what can I say? So basically, let's see if I can put it in very good how do you say, condensed and clear fashion. So it is a very dark, grim, dark science fiction universe. It is very gritty, and I want it to be very mature and grounded. So it's not gonna be like a crazy fantasy science fiction, you know. But I wanted to feel real, and or maybe real is not the best word, but believable. Um, so that's gonna be one of the major pillars for this project. So basically, what I will be doing and why I'm gonna be launching this Patreon account is to support the work to build this project, this universe. So basically, at the moment, for now, the project is gonna be focusing on world building this universe because I have plenty of ideas in my head. And through all these years, I had plenty of plans and things that I wanted to do, but I lacked the time to do it. So, what I will be doing is just putting the time to create the lore and the visual aesthetics for this universe. That's the first step. My main and most immediate goal is that once I have um, a minimum amount of material gathered, I will be publishing a book um, with all that content, which I would, at least my intention is just to use another crowdfunding. So in this case, Kickstarter or some of the other ones to self-publish this book. So, all right. So going back to the universe of the Brethren of the Clouds. I could say that there's very little done. So most of everything it's in my head, but and as I mentioned, I have to create everything, all the visuals. So the few things that I have done, it doesn't mean that that's established. It's just like a very 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 first step. So what I want to accomplish is, as I said, a very grim, dark, gritty, and mature universe that feels believable. For that, I've been researching for many years now in depth about the subject of real piracy. Um, uh, Trying to understand what happened in different periods of history that make possible the situations, right, that kind of accommodate and create all the put all the factors in place to create um, piracy or pirates, and everything is pretty um, nasty. I have to say, there is no glamour. There is no sense of happy adventures. Everything is pretty very hardcore and grim, and I want to focus on that. So everything it's gonna have nothing to do with like the Hollywood interpretation of piracy, but the real piracy, the things that have been happening throughout history. So for that, I'm gonna be basing or using as a design foundation both for the world building and for the visual design in one specific period of time of history, which is around the period of the Buccaneers and the golden era of piracy in the Caribbeans, and with a little bit of the Berber pirates in the Mediterranean. But this is not going to be just straightforward reinterpretation of historical events with science fiction skin on top of it. It's going to be completely fictional, everything, but just with a very big inspiration in real events through history to understand and to ground everything in a way that makes it believable and plausible. Gorilla Dila the sequel. Thanks for the follow. Sorry for butchering your name, but yeah, I much appreciate it. Thanks for the follow. So yes, why I want to go with Patreon? Well, the reason for that is the main reason for that is trade, client pay time with time and trying not to lose too much money doing it, because I still have to support my family, right? So basically that's about it. The longer story for that, I could say, is that, well, I've been working in the industry for around 20 years, more or less, or more, and I've been making a lot of money for a lot of big companies, doing precisely this: world building, creating new IPs for other people. And I'm a little bit tired of doing that. I'm still will be doing it as a professional, but I always wanted to do my own world, my own stories, and not having to depend on anybody to really tell me what they wanted. So basically, instead of trying to illustrate somebody else's vision, I just wanted to have the time to be able to put to fruition my own ideas, and in this case, world. And for that, I need some sort of way to afford it, and that's why I decided just to give it a try with Patreon. I don't know if I'm prepared for it. I don't know if it's gonna be enough, but at least I think I need to start, and we'll see what happens. I still will do my best to spend as much time working on the project, but of course, depending on how successful the Patreon will be, that will mean, yeah, how fast I can work and how much things can happen, and therefore how quick I will be able to get to the point of publish the first book. Another thing about these books, first a book, of course, if it goes according to plan and it does quite okay, then I will do more books, expanding a little bit more the universe of the Brethren of the Clouds. So the idea for this book is that it's not going to be just an art book, just like the common art of blah blah blah. It's gonna be in one hand, yes, there's gonna be a display of concept art, of sketches, of illustrations, yeah, a lot of art, right? And accompanied by lore and short stories and stuff like that. that kind of give you a glimpse of what this universe is about. But that's just half of the vision for this book, because the second part and vision for this book is that I want to focus the book into explaining from the very, very, very beginning of the process of world building to the final product. And I want to guide the audience into that process, explaining. So there's going to be a little bit of a didactic book as well. So not just a plain art book with lore, but accompanied with a lot of explanations and guiding the reader into all the nitty-gritty details of the creative process of world building and design, right? Why, um, let's say, I do all these type of explorations. What is the main goal? What are the constraints? What are the challenges, and why I might end up choosing this or that, right? So I want to guide the viewer from the whole process, and also perhaps digging into some techniques as well. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, again, there is barely anything about it and everything to do, so the scope might change throughout the process, but we'll see. That's kind of also part of the fun. Uh, so yeah, that's basically the first tangible goals for this project. How long is going to be stretched into the future? Again, as I said, everything will depend on how much time I can dedicate to work with it. But what I can say, just to begin with, is that it is a lot of work. It is a lot of content that I need to do in order to create enough material to create the type of book that I want to publish. So it's gonna take some time. I'm planning also to take some help from other professionals to help me to with certain aspects of the project. So it's not going to be just me. Mainly, it's going to be me working on it, but with certain things, I will be um, um, collaborating with with other professionals, like for example with let's say, for instance, music. Yes. So, all right. That's kind of one part or one aspect of the project. So, just to give a glimpse of what is the brethren of the clouds in terms of the universe itself. For the most part, everything is going to be happening in planets, but not a planet that you would think that where you can land, but it's going to be a gas giant. Most of everything that I will be focusing, at least for this first book, is going to be focused on these gas giants and everything around what it implies living in these gas giants, which is going to be a gigantic planet where the forces of nature are terrifying. And people despise of being able to travel through space and being a lot of resources and everything, still they are at the mercy of the elements in this planet. Yeah, so I think it is a very, very fascinating environment and something that hasn't been explored in depth in any major or popular universe. So I intend to do that, to dive metaphorically and literally into the depths of this planet. Also, I could say the type of science fiction that everything is going to be about is not going to be space, like I say, not space magic, but to the best of my ability, I will try to find a balance between fun but plausible science, or that things at least work to a certain extent in a way that can be explained. So yes, I don't want to give too much details anyway. At least for now. But if later during the Q&A you have specific questions about the universe of the Brethren of the Clouds, or the the books and all of that, then I'm going to be more than happy to answer those in detail. All right. So about Patreon, let's see. So for Patreon, I'm planning to, let's see if I can put it in front of me.
He's like, come on, massage me, massage me. The guy has. That's this.
Let's see. Mm-mm-mm. So the Patreon, for now at least, and this is open for change. It's gonna be divided in several tiers, and for now there are gonna be 6 of them. So the way I have planned the tiers for the Patreon is as follow. Like 3 that are like in the more common bracket of other Patreons in terms of the prices, and 3 extra ones that are more focused into or aimed towards a more collector Patreon profile. So the first tier, it's gonna be €5, and you will get behind the scenes content, so sketches, work in progress, news about the and updates about the project itself. You will get access to an exclusive channel on my Discord, and you will have also access to time-lapse process videos of material from the project. So that's the first tier. The second tier is going to be €10. So you will get exactly the same as the previous one. So behind the scenes content, sketches, work in progress, news, time-lapse process videos, access to exclusive Discord channel, and 25% discounts on tutorials, prints, and all type of merchandise that I will be creating from now on. Then there is the third, which is €20. In here, you get all the previous stuff. So again, behind the scene content, sketches, work in progress, news, time-lapse process videos, access to exclusive Discord channel, 25% discount on tutorial and prints, and all other type of merchandise. And you will be able to, you will have exclusive voting power in polls. So from time to time, I will be putting some polls depending on the type of things that I I will be doing or focusing on certain decisions, and I will be putting that for polls for you to be able to have a say in it. And as well, you will be able to have access to a monthly Q&A session, which should be like an hour long or something like that, where I will be talking about the project itself, about the different things that are going to be happening, and you will be able to ask questions, and of course I will answer them. And that will be only available from this tier up. Then we have the fourth tier, and from this point forward, I understand that they are kind of expensive, but again, of course, if you are not interested, you don't have to take them. But it's more aimed to those people that have more of a collector mindset, and we'll get a very exclusive type of things from the project. So let me just explain what that's gonna be. So the fourth tier is gonna be 50 euros. So again, you will get everything from the previous tiers, behind the scenes content, sketches, work in progress, images, and news, and updates. You will get time-lapse process videos, access to exclusive Discord channel, and at this point, everybody will get 60% discount on tutorials, prints, and merchandise. So that's a pretty nifty discount. Then, of course, you will get exclusive voting power on polls. You will get access to the live Q&As. And you will get some exclusive merchandise only available for people that are pledging to this tier. And you will get that just by applying to this tier. And as far as I understand how it works on Patreon, these type of merchandise are unlocked after 3 months of pledge. And finally, and this is where I'm getting into the collector mindset. By pledging to this tier, you will be displayed on the Wall of Fame on the book. Well, not only on the book, but in any type of material that will be published forward forever. So that means that you will get in a Wall of Fame and on the credits for any video, any type of content related to the project, then on the books once they are published. If by whatever reason the whole project grow and goes forward, and let's say that there are comic books or even films or whatever, you will be on the credits. You will be credited as one of the people that made this possible, and that's that will be that way. So basically, the idea is like, imagine, let's say that let's imagine that we are back in the 1970s, and you were able to attend the first steps of, let's say, the creation of Star Wars, and you could attend the creative meetings, and you were able to have contributed to the universe of or the creation of the first film. How cool would it be that since then your name will be always credited in a place of prestige and honor as one of the people that made that possible as a patron. So that's what I'm offering with this pledge, and therefore the price. Yes. All right. So next tier, it would be 100 euros. So again, I'm pretty aware that it's a lot of money, but again, you don't have to. So it's just there for the people that might be interested of what I'm offering with them. So you will get everything that I mentioned previously. So behind the scenes, sketches, work in progress, news and updates, time-lapse process videos, access to exclusive Discord channel, 60% discount on any tutorial and prints and merchandise available, exclusive voting powers on polls, live Q&As, another exclusive merchandise only for this tier, and of course from the tier previously, and that's something that I still need to determine and design. But let's say that on the previous tier, the merchandise for the first round of merchandise is a t-shirt. For this fifth tier, you will get the previous one, the t-shirt, but maybe you get a hoodie. So you will get those two. You will get displayed on the Wall of Fame as the previous one. And also for something that I failed to mention about the Wall of Fame, that will be unlocked after 3 months of pledging. All right. So you will get this place as well on the Wall of Fame. And at this point, you would get a voucher for the Kickstarter campaign, a voucher for the basic Kickstarter pledge. So basically, you will get the book when the Kickstarter happens, and with all the goodies, extra goodies that might come with them in case the campaign is a success. Yeah. And the very exclusive thing for this tier is that I will be using a name that you will be giving me. It could be your name or a name that is special for you, and that name will be part of the universe of the Brethren of the Clouds. I will be used for something important and relevant for the lore. So again, going back to the example of Star Wars universe, let's say, I don't know, about the Millennium Falcon, right? So a very iconic spaceship of the Star Wars universe. Well, in this case, what I'm offering is that, let's say that instead of the Millennium Falcon, I would be using your name. So your name will be used for the iconic spaceship of Star Wars in this example. So again, in this case, your name will be attached to the universe of the Brethren of the Clouds, and I think that's a pretty cool thing. So yes. And of course, it can be. I would be open for suggestions about the type of things that you might like to be used to, but it might end up being many things, right? It could be for a place, a city. It could be for some sort of way of naming certain type of iconic weapons, or some sort of suit or armor, or an historical event in the lore, or something of that kind. So it could be many, many, many things, but something relevant and iconic within the universe. So it's not like a screw that nobody cares about, right? So it will be something, something important within the lore, and so your name will be attached in that way to the universe. So again, going back to this idea of collector mindset and exclusivity. So kind of deluxe type of pledge. All right, and finally, the last pledge, and the more expensive one would be 200 euros. Again, lots of money. But what I'm offering, I think it's pretty cool. And I have put all these prices in a way that kind of reflect also how, in a fair way, how things would be working if, let's say, I would be doing some type of professional commission. So it goes along those lines, more or less. So right. So 200 euros for the last tier. So you will get behind the scenes content, sketches, work in progress, news and updates, time-lapse process videos, access to exclusive Discord channel. Again, 60% discount on tutorials, print and merchandises. Exclusive voting power on polls. Access to the monthly live Q&As about the project. Another exclusive merchandise for this tier, plus all the two previous ones. Let's say it's like I don't know, like a print or something like that, plus the t-shirt and hoodie from the other ones, as a theoretical example. Again, I have to still think about what those merchandise is going to be. Which, by the way, all these merchandises from Patreon, they can be delivered anywhere in the world, and all the you don't have to pay any extras. I believe you will just get it, and I and Patreon will take care of that. All right, so. You will as well be displayed on the wall of fame. Again, like previously, will be unlocked after 3 months. For this tier, instead of the basic Kickstarter pledge voucher, you will get a voucher for the full Kickstarter pledge. So you will be getting the collector or deluxe version of the books for the Kickstarter campaign, or campaigns, I have to say, because as I said, I was planning to of course start with one single first book, but if things go good, and it opens the possibility to do further books with Kickstarter, then that would apply to the second books and Kickstarter campaigns. All right. So that will be also unlocked after pledging after 3 months. Then, like with the previous tier, you will get also your name becoming part of the universe. For this, you will have to be pledging a minimum of 5 months. And now it comes to the ones that are exclusive to this tier. So you will be granted exclusive voice and access to creative meetings. So I will be giving you the possibility to have a big impact into talking and be part of creative meetings to decide things in a major way for the project. So I will be including you in these meetings, and you will be able to voice your opinion and yeah. So that's a major thing, right? Again, so going back to the idea of the Star Wars example, imagine that you were granted the possibility not only to support and be part of the whole adventure of starting a project like Star Wars, but you were granted the possibility to be sitting on the table next to George Lucas and tell him what you thought about different things and be part of as another creative into the creative process of the of the of the creation of this universe. So you will get that exclusive voice and access. And finally, something that I think is pretty big, and is that I will create a character within the universe inspired by you. So you will be part of the universe as a character, and I think that's a pretty big thing. So therefore, the high price for this tier. So yes, basically that's about it. So six tiers of pledge, 5 euros, 10 euros, and 20 euros, which are more like the normal type of tiers that you will see in other type of patrons. And then you will get these other more exclusive ones, and therefore the higher price of 50 euros, 100 euros, and 200 euros. But again, I think it's a pretty fair price for what I'm offering. Again, that's something that it's pretty valuable thing. Of course, if you care about about the project. If not, then yeah, you don't care and you don't pledge, and it's fine. That's the beauty of it. So yeah. And I think that's about it. Really. I believe so. I think we can open now the Q&A part of the stream. I see that I have missed a lot of people while I was talking from the chat, and I'm sorry, but for some reason I cannot scroll back to the chat. So I'm very sorry about that. I see Lucius that you were here. Phil, Closer, Korosu, Wargamer, Peter. Hello, Peter. Again, a bit shout out to you for the help with the subtitles for the Space Marine tutorials. Pontus, hello, man. And I think that's the yeah. And the rest, I'm sorry, I cannot scroll up on the stream, on the chat for some reason. So sorry about that. Phil Cloger, what are your thoughts on Hulk Hogan's mustache? Um, well, that was pretty iconic, and I grew up looking at that mustache. So, but was it just a mustache or just, I don't know what's the name in English, but close to a beer, right? Pretty cool. um, so yeah, let's start with questions if you might have any questions. Again, in regards to the project itself, because I haven't been talking that much about the project or haven't given too many details anyway, or about the Patreon. And of course, also since this thing with Patreon, I'm pretty flexible and open to do modifications. So if you have any suggestions or some feedback, or just your thoughts, um, in case that you think it doesn't look that good, or you think it's outrageous, or anything, I'm more than happy to hear your thoughts, and I might modify things depending on how things um, go along. Because again, this is the very first time I'm doing this with crowdfunding, and I'm more than open to for feedback. And you might think that some of the things are not appealing whatsoever, or you might have some other suggestions of things that you might like to have on the tiers. So again, I'm more than happy to hear your opinion. Peter, episode one should be ready tomorrow. Email me where you want me to send it. All right, Peter, that it's music to my ears. Yes, I would like it to my email address. But yeah, I will send it later. And on that note, for those of you that just joined recently, there is a release date for the first episode of the tutorial on how to paint and draw Space Marines. And that's going to be the 22nd of this month for free on my YouTube channel. So you are welcome, because it was a shitload of work. Yeah, and it's gonna be the first episode of 4, and yeah, I cannot wait for you guys to see it and hear your thoughts. And I really hope that you will have a good time with it and learn from it. All right, Pontus, do you have any sneak peek art that you would like to show on stream? Yes, I do. Um, yes, I do have. So you could say that. Let's see how I can put this in a way that I can see. All right, there you have it, more or less. So again, it's gonna be very gritty, very grim and dark. A very cruel world, and it's gonna have a pretty, of course. I mean, as I mentioned before, I have to create the whole thing, right? So it's difficult for me to say it's gonna be this way or another when I still need to go through the process, and things might change throughout the process. But for now, for how things stand at the moment, there's going to be certain diesel punk vibe to it, and yeah, what can I say? I'm very excited. And yeah, this concept was made more as a mood concept, more than anything, just to kind of visualize certain concepts in my mind and put into some tangible scene. So this kind of portraits what could be some sort of attempt by some pirates skiffs to attack some sort of hauler in inside the atmosphere of these gas giants. But again, there's a lot of very cool aspects to this environment, and I will, as I said, I will try my very best to ground things in as much as I can in how things are in terms of the physics and stuff like that. So think of it that you have a very very thick atmosphere. So in the upper layers, it's more like you could say like our atmosphere in the sense that yeah, it's not that dense. So you have more like clouds and perhaps most probably very high or strong winds and stuff like that. You will have a lot of storms and like. But the deeper you go, the hotter and the pressures are very 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 high. And I want to play with that contrast and how the people within this planet adapt to that, and how they might be able to go deep into those layers of the atmosphere, and how that might apply to the designs of the ships, and how that might affect the interaction between the different um, pirates and the other type of people that make a living in there. So I don't want to give too many details as well. Of course, something that I forgot to mention regarding the Patreon is that aside from the few things that I'm gonna be showing here and perhaps in the future, most of everything is gonna be totally locked down to just exclusive to Patreons only. So if you want to get a look into it, there is not going to be any other way than just through Patreon. So it's going to be, yeah. I don't think it would be fair um, to do it otherwise. So there's going to be nothing into the public unless from time to time something that is just kind of to publicize and the Patreon and the project. But aside from that, everything is going to be just available for patrons. So yeah, going back to the environment and how I don't know. I think it's just an insanely interesting environment and terrifying as well with how it implies and how dangerous it is. And I want to really dig into these concepts and how to incorporate that through the lore, but of course through the visual designs of things, the suits, environment suits, how, for example, these guys, I'm just imagining that they can only do this type of thing on the upper layers of the atmosphere, because the deeper you get, they would get crashed by the high pressures. So maybe the spaceships need to be something more similar to a in concept as a submarine, perhaps, right? So how to combine a plane with a submarine concept, both in one, for instance, and all these type of things. And those are the things that I would be focusing and showing the process on the book, right? So it's not just about displaying cool looking designs, but just about exploring and world building and 100% design process. And I think that is very interesting. I don't know about you, but I tend to be a little bit bored about just plain art books where there's only or mainly just final images. The the thing that I'm the most interested in is the previous work, the sketches, where you can see the creative process behind. So of course the final image is important, and I enjoy looking it. But if I also get the previous iterations to see how they got to that final image, and that's something that I enjoy immensely, and that's something that why I want to focus about these aspects on the book, about showing that process and guiding the viewer through the very initial steps to the final design of things. And because of that, it's gonna, as I mentioned, is a lot of work, because basically I have very few things done to this date, and it's about building a whole universe. So it's quite a lot, a lot of design work and writing as well, in regards to the lore. Even if I will be mostly focusing on this planet, right, as the main focus, even though there are other things outside these planets, and everything. The cool thing is everything is my head, so I need to display all those thoughts into tangible text and images and designs. Um, Peter, do you have any other promotional art that you want to share? Oh, okay, yeah, then this one. I have other things, but I'm not sure. I guess I can show one more thing. Peter, they are great videos. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Pontus, oh, very cool. Thank you, thank you. Armstrong, oh, amazing. Thank you, thank you. That's very kind to say. But if please, one of these things that I be honest, if you think this is some of the things that I might show are crap, please say it. All right, it's something more useful and valuable for me than just saying it's cool just for the sake of saying it's cool and just make me happy just for the sake of it. All right, so don't be afraid. I'm old enough to not get butthurt by criticism at all, and that's something that I embrace with avid with avidity. I was going to say, I don't know if that's a word, but yeah, with pleasure. Luis Ramon, wow, it's awesome. I know that your project world is so interesting. Thanks, man. Thank you. Much appreciated. One thing that I could say to kind of sell or self promote is that, well, basically I make a living out of doing this exact thing, right? I creating IPs for big corporations and directors and stuff like that. This is my professional expertise, and I know how to do it. And yeah, and I have plenty of projects to that they have been very successful. But as I mentioned, I'm just tired of just doing that to make possible the visions of others, and I want that, and I want to do that with my own vision and put that expertise to my to do something that I like, and that I feel it's a pretty cool idea. So yes. Peter, for your Patreon, do you have a main story you can build the world on? It may help bring it more casual supporters. Peter, I don't have a story per se, like a specific narrative of one single person or events. The narrative and the lore, I will be building it through some characters, and by giving some sort of biography of who those random characters are. So what I will be aiming for this book is to do, at least for now, it might change in scope, but for now what I have envisioned is to create a full crew of a full pirate crew for one ship. So do this crew, do the design of the ship with all the interior and all the cool stuff, and history of this ship, etc., etc. So I will be presenting each one of these characters with their backstories, and so I will be use that opportunity to kind of to build into the lore through their experiences per se. And I might include other crews for the first book as well. So that's kind of the intention or scope that I have in terms of stories and lore. Of course, next to this, it will be all the design process of world building, the visual aesthetics of the world. But that will be combined with, I mean, the showcase of these characters and these spaceships will be like the culmination of that design process that I will be showing previously, right? So once I get to certain decisions, or I achieve certain goals of, okay, this is the type of look that I want for this type of people, then I will create those specific characters that are pirates among our crew, and I will make up that. So they might become some important characters within the lore, or maybe not. We'll see. But at least it will give me the possibility to bring a big array of different characters, of creativity, right, and diversity, and I think it will make it very interesting. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question. And of course, one of the major challenges at this point I see for selling the idea and the Patreon and everything is that I have very, very, very little material done because I didn't have the time to do it. So along the way, as soon as a little bit more things start to shape up, then of course I will have to use some of that to promote the project and Patreon even more, because there will be something more to show, right? So, but you have to start from somewhere, and this somewhere is now, and it's from very from scratch. So not blank sheet, but almost in this case. So let me just see if I can. Uh, where are you here? Let me see if I can share something, an extra thing for that. Once again, I need to change here the screen. Just I'm so afraid of showing something that I shouldn't. Let me see. All right. All right. I will share with you this. But once again, bear in mind that this is extremely initial, and things might change insanely much from what I'm showing you now, because again, I haven't started the whole process, right? So this is like me just playing around, and yeah. So for instance, where is it? Okay, here. So here you have another concept of trying to visualize a random Jovian landscape. So how it could look within the atmosphere of this planet, and yeah, so things might be this way, remain this way, might change quite a lot. Again, this is so first things that I have done, that yeah, this is like when you have one idea, right, and you need just to put it on the canvas just to get started, right? So this is what it is, and everything that I have done so far, really. For example, the type of characters that I might be doing. Well, again, a disclaimer again, as I just mentioned before, this is just me playing around with the more of the idea of what I want to do later on, right? So I'm not saying that this is how people will look, but this was more myself kind of visualizing the vision of what I want to do with the book. So I was referring to, okay, so creating the whole crew for a pirate ship, right? So it will be like one character standing or doing whatever. So you would have the character this way, and then with the backstory of this character. So that's kind of more the idea behind this picture, just trying to visualize that idea, right? More than anything else. But so yeah. Here um, some sketches for what could be an environmental suit. Um, as you can see, there's a lot of retro vibes. So obviously those are just quick sketches looking for ideas, and it's me more than anything else just playing around and kind of like a warming up exercise than anything else. But already thinking in terms of the things that I would have to think within the setting of the universe, right? So like some sort of environment suits designed to protect the wearer from the insane environmental conditions of the atmosphere of this planet, the heat, the pressures, etc., depending of maybe if they go outside in the lower levels of the atmosphere, or and that might even work also for space, right, and stuff like that. So yes, and that's about it. That's I have more stuff, but I'm not gonna share more. I need to keep uh, a minimum for the opening of the Patreon, right? It would be too depressing to start the Patreon and I have absolutely nothing to show. so so yeah, I have to keep something for it. And again, it's just I've been playing around with the idea for this project for many years, and I can count with the fingers of my hands the total amount of things that I have done for the project, sadly. So yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, some things that I have done previously, even though they were not specifically about the project, but I did them as exercises, thinking of the future project, right? I don't know if you remember some of the character a day challenge characters that I did some time ago. Plenty of them, I did them kind of playing around with the idea as if they were for the project. So I if you remember, I also wrote some backstories for some of those characters, and I was experimenting about this concept of how to present them, the characters for the projects, etc., etc. So, in certain way, you could say that I have done things for the projects, even though they were not literally from the project, but still, I've been doing some stuff. But now about the project itself, I have very little, and hopefully, I can start to spend some quality time. That because that's the thing that I've been missing the most to do that. It's like quality time to spend working on it. So yeah. David De Luca, do you think of having also alien creatures or maybe human or mainly humans? I started the whole idea with only having humans, but with time, I came to the realization that I will also include alien races. So there will be alien races and humans. It will be a mix. It's going to be mainly focused on humans, but there will be sentient alien races and, of course, no sentient alien races. So there will be both. And for good reasons. So it's again, this is one of the things that I was referring to, a very much grounded universe, so to make it as believable. So I'm not gonna be doing things using the rule of cool as the main guiding tool, or mm, building pillar, but everything is gonna be for good reasons, to give context and consistency to the whole universe. So I'm not just putting aliens just because it's gonna be cool. There are gonna be good narrative reasons for that, and they are, and yeah. So, but yeah, to your question, yes, there's gonna be aliens. Atreides, buenas noches. Paso a saludar y a dejarte el durqueo, que entro ahora al directo. Besicos, abrazos y achuchones varios. Atreides, muchas gracias. Y bienvenido, bienvenida al estudio. Al estudio, al stream. Muchas gracias. How do you these guys live? In floating cities or on tall mountains? Well, it's a gas giant, so there is no crust, there is no mountains. So yes, there will be floating cities. And that's also one very interesting aspect of these environments. Floating cities can be an actual thing from a scientific point of view, and I will dig into that when it's time to go about that aspect of the world building. But yeah, floating cities. And of course, in terms of the book, as I said, I will be focusing a big part about the whole design process, establishing the visual aesthetics and foundation for the universe. Then I will be specifically designing one crew or several crews and their ships, but I will have to spend some time and effort into defining and explaining the environment itself, because the environment is going to be it's going to have a major role within the universe of the brethren of the clouds. So these planets and the cities and everything that turns around how to live and how this environment affects people is going to play a very, very major part within the focus of the narrative in this universe. So you could say that this planet is going to be a main protagonist for the IP. Seb, go Miguel. Hello, welcome. Thank you. Peter, I'm glad you are pulling the trigger and starting. And for us, art fans, were on board. But to get a bigger audience, I think you will have to find a story or a conflict. You have to answer why should we care about your world IP. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So I get what you mean now. And yeah, I totally understand. That's why I need to get something rolling in order to kind of um, have something a little bit more tangible than just pure words. So yes, one one of the most what's the word in English? Immediate objectives that I have, it's to create an animatic, um, um, precisely for this reason. So some sort of trailer where you can get a glimpse of that condense the narrative of this universe, precisely for that reason. So yes, you are completely right, and that's my as soon as I start Patreon, I will be working mainly on that. And and yeah, so Pontus that is here, um, Patrick will be jumping in for that, which I feel very happy and fortunate. Patrick is an old friend and ex-colleague of mine, and he's very good with these things. So he will be helping me out with the animatic. So yeah, and yeah, and for yeah, I cannot say it better than you have said. Yes, you need something to care and to understand in just one look, what is all of this about and why you should care. It will it will be, and it's gonna have to be a short animatic anyway, as well, because that's not gonna be the main project, right? So, and I have a very limited resources. Um, Therefore, the Patreon. So, of course, um, all the collaborations that will be having throughout the projects, it's going to be on a professional level. So that means paying professional rates, etc., and that is expensive. So yeah. Um, so yes, first tangible and immediate goal is to create this animatic before anything else. Before continue, yeah, before any doing any type of characters or anything, it's just starting with this animatic. So that would mean script and storyboard and start to work with Patrick into moving forward. And Schmovitz, I love the char concept iterations. Yeah, the character concept iteration. Okay, thanks, man. Thanks. There will be plenty of that throughout the project, because it's gonna be creating from very scratch this whole uh, visual aesthetic for this IP, right? So there's gonna be plenty of these things, and I will be sharing everything on Patreon. So there will be quite a lot of it. Armstrong, yeah, I love these works, man. Thank you, much appreciated. Luis, thank you. David De Luca, very interesting project. Also, the fact that you want to show each step in the characters is great. The only thing that I might say is that there are too many tiers, in my opinion. Maybe having less of them makes it easier to decide. But other than that, go Miguel. The art you are showing is wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Yes, I know it might be not the usual, but at the same time, I feel very strongly about the options. So, I mean, to be honest, they are not so. I mean, they tend to say that yeah, it's better to have few options, but if I narrow things too much, I don't. I want to give the possibility for people that uh, if they feel strongly about the project and they want to have a more, how do you say, exclusive and deluxe way of being part of the process and contributing to it, to have that option there. And if not, then you just go with the regular and more simple tiers as they normally are. Should be fine. So so yeah, I think I have considered about that. I've been thinking about that, and uh, I want to give it a try. And let's see what happens. If things doesn't work, then yeah, we'll reconsider that. But anyway, thanks for the feedback, and yeah, it's definitely a good one because yeah, everybody tend to go to that route just to make it simple. But yeah, basically, in my way of thinking is that okay, I understand that the vast majority are not going to go for, let's say, the 200 euros tier, right? Because I understand that for just any regular person, that's quite a lot of money. But I know for certain that there's a lot of people with a lot of money as well, and they might think, and that amount of money that mine might must oh my goodness, might not be that much money, and they might think that what I'm offering it's worth it. So I don't want to exclude the possibility, uh, even if just one person, just to exclude the possibility of getting that level of support. So that's kind of the reasoning behind it. And again, it's that the beauty of it is like, well, I mean, if you think it's too much or it's not interesting, then you just, nobody force anybody to take it, right? So but once again, I mean, I get your point, and I think you are you have good reasons. Pontus, thank you, man, thank you. Cantabrian, hello, uh, welcome. Just checking now. From what I'm seeing, looking great. Liking the idea of things being based in gas giant planets. You could have a lot of fun with additional physics-based story elements. Yes, that's one of these things why I decided to. I mean, there are plenty of reasons why I think basing the focus of the universe or the IP in gas giants, um, but from creating a world from scratch, it creates a certain set of very specific and constraining rules that make it very very clear. they laid a very clear path of design process into taking certain design decisions, right? Again, the rule of cool is very cool, but what should guide the designing process and deciding which direction to take should be designs that function and have a reason to be within this environment and context, and that they should work. Or and even if it's kind of fake, I mean, again, it does not everything needs to be 100% realistic from a science point of view, but at least to give just enough to give a sense of is believable to a certain degree, right? So it's plausible. I can think that this could work, or yeah. So again, going with this design principle of function, the form or shape follows function, right? So this environment and this context set a set of rules that makes it very clear, and also challenging. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think going with a gas giant, it's a pretty cool idea. Other reasons, for instance, is the novelty. As I said, it hasn't been explored that much in depth. I think it's fascinating. If you think about Jupiter, that just one storm in Jupiter could engulf the whole Earth. So the mere size is just like mind-boggling, right? It's insane. And then the features of the weather itself, etc. Another aspect that I haven't mentioned, part of the tone for the project, I could define it a little bit as cosmic horror. So not cosmic horror in terms of Lovecraftian terms, right? Of supernatural and weird creatures and gods and stuff like that, but in terms of the terrifying feeling that the universe, the space in this case, this planet is so big, it's so hostile to life, it's so dangerous, that is terrifying. So again, despite of how advanced the civilizations can be, despite of how amazing things they can do through technology, they still are extremely vulnerable to the immensity of the universe. And I want to focus into a big part, the whole narrative around that, about cosmic horror, that yes, it might be beautiful, it might be epic, but above anything else, the main feeling is of fear. That's kind of the kind of tone that I want to give to this environment. And kind of to put that into certain, to link that to real piracy in the age of sales, right? That we tend to forget how, even nowadays, how dangerous the sea is, even nowadays. But back then, it was a terrifying place to be. And the ships of that age, they were the absolute latest novelties in technology and advancements of of the civilization of that time, and still they were dying left and right, and I mean all the time. You could have like empires and emperors just like planning like invasions and grand schemes, and with hundreds of ships and fleets and stuff like that. And suddenly everything just go to hell because of storms, and they are powerless, right? So they are at the mercy of nature. So that's, I want to use this planet a little bit like a metaphor that links to the concept of the vastness of the sea in the times of the age of sails. A little bit in that sense. Lucius, question one: how green dark we talking? More than 40K? Question two: I was wondering if you would share some of your references on your Patreon. It would be nice to see how your research informs your designs. So, question one: how grim dark we're talking? Um, Around 40K level, I think. I mean, of course, it's difficult to compare on with such a intangible or abstract idea, but yeah, pretty grim dark. Yes. I mean, one of the easy things, and again, this is this connection that is going to be a constant throughout the project, and that I explained on the very beginning, and is that I'm using as an inspiration real historical events of piracy and how things were back in the day. And I can tell you they were extremely grim dark without any need of insane 40K science fiction, right? and aliens and demons. It was pretty grim dark. So yes, it is gonna be very grim dark, very much, and I want to focus on that. And one of the reasons, in contrast, is as a contrast with this notion of piracy that we have got through pop culture, right? With films and stuff like that, where yeah, pirates are kind of cool and funny and and not so serious, and the things that they did, right, or they do, and the reality of how things were, it's pretty different, and that's what I want to focus on, and therefore the very long research process that I have gone through these years, reading a lot about this period of time. So, yes. Question two. Of course, I will be sharing references, of course, because research is an extremely vital part of any world building process and design. And since it plays such a vital role, it's going to be definitely be displayed and explained and shared on Patreon. For the books, I don't know. That will depend on the final design of the displays of the book, and but out of my head, I would say that there should be some as well on the books, but on the Patreon for sure. That's a given. Schmovit, great to hear. Looking forward to it. Nice, thanks. Peter, I like the casual and exclusive tiers. All right. Yeah, I am. That's kind of again. Uh, sorry if I'm repeating myself as a broken record, but yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's like more the normal ones, but other ones that are more exclusive. And to be honest, I think it's a pretty fair price for the type of things that I'm offering. Of course, it's difficult sometimes um, to quantify those things, especially when we are in such a early stage of the process where basically there is nothing. But let's say that this thing becomes big, and then you end up being, let's say, again going back to the example of Star Wars. Let's say that you are Darth Vader, that originally the character of Darth Vader was inspired by you, and you basically become an intrinsic part of the universe through a character. That's awesome, if you ask me, and that's very exclusive, and yeah, and that need to go, and that has a price, basically. So, but once again, if you think it's just nonsense, then you don't have to apply for it, and everybody's happy, right? So, yeah, that's why I'm not afraid to go with those more exclusive tiers, because again, it's just up to anybody just to choose it or not. And again, also, I have put the prices and what I'm offering you, offering in a kind of fair price in terms of, from a professional standpoint of view of how these things should be priced. So I'm not putting these things just randomly, but in a fair way. And things, and to be honest, um, let's dream. Let's say that this thing becomes it's a great success and becomes a very famous IP. No way, but yeah, let's dream. Well, then it's a pretty. It wouldn't be that expensive anymore, right? Putting things in perspective, if that would be the case. So, anyway, Oleg, hey man, love your work. You have inspired me to start learning painting. I have been doing that for 3 years now. Anyway, thank you. Well, Oleg, what can I say? That's uh, first welcome, and that is. I'm speechless hearing this type of thing. So I don't know, makes me very glad. Thanks for sharing that, and keep it up. Yeah, I don't know. I'm always a little bit. Uh, I don't know what to say when you people say things like that. But yeah, it makes me very happy, and I'm very glad to hear that. And yeah, keep it up. And welcome to the Arctic. Welcome to the artist journey. A fascinating one. Luis Ramon, so curious about the Patreon. What do you mean? About what I will be showing, or yeah, I'm a little bit confused about that since I've been talking about it. Cantabrian, man, it sounds very cool, and your thoughts that underpin everything make sense. It sounds thoroughly thought through. Great stuff, Miguel. Thanks, Cantabrian. Thank you. Yeah, well, what can I say myself? Of course, I'm gonna say that I think it's great, but with all honesty, I truly believe that this project has an insane potential to become something huge and super interesting. And yeah, been thinking about this for a very very long time. So this is not something that just came up the other day. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I've been doing a lot of research to make um, this whole universe feel, or hopefully feel believable and plausible within its own fiction. Of course, I just have to make it happen, right? Just everything makes a lot of sense here, and everything it's in my head. But now I just have the tiny challenge of putting that um, to to make that happen. So that's not a small feat to achieve, and of course, plenty of people through history have had great ideas, but were unable to make them happen, or had the enough skills to make it a reality. So I'm quite confident once again that I will be able to pull it off, since that's my professional expertise and I've been doing that for 20 years plus. So I know how to do this. I know how to do this, and yeah, it's just gonna be a matter of time, and and how much that time is gonna be available for me. So I hope that the Patreon at least can cover a fraction of of that time, because of course I'm being realistic. I don't think I will be able to cover all the expenses of not working for client work. Uh, so because you need to understand that since this is such a big undertaking, um, the time that I dedicate working for this, it's gonna be work for uh, paid work for clients that I will not be doing, and money that I will be losing. Uh, so yeah, at the very least, I hope that I can cover a fraction of that with Patreon, uh, and uh, and just go for it. So yeah, we'll see. Luis, sorry, I'm a little tired and did not explain good. I want to say that I want to support you and see the content. Aha, all right, all right. Yeah, no worries, man. I'm also very tired as well. So, uh, yes. Let's put this one here. So, for example, once again, going with these mood concepts, I don't know if people will look this way, if ships will look this way. Um, Probably not. Maybe some elements here and there would be the same. I don't know. But this at least was to kind of have some, instead of it just a blank sheet, just to visualize at least the concept to a basic level, that it's understandable, and condense some of the core ideas. So yeah, I think um, I I haven't missed anything else to explain, really. Um, Hopefully, I mean, I understand, as Peter, as you were saying, that this animatic is extremely important to um, to be able to sell in a more clearer and condensed way, condense the whole spirit of and mood of the project. But again, it's just like a sidetrack, right? It's not actual design process of world building the project. So so yeah, I'm a little bit anxious because of that. And of course, I think it's going to be extremely enjoyable to do this animatic as well, because that's something that I really enjoy doing. But it's, I have this itching that I want to start the uh, mm, hardcore work of design and world building already, and I'm all the time feeling that there are so many additional things that I need to do before I get started. But this is the definitely the first part, and even though it's not going to be so much in terms of design, but definitely laying the foundation for the mood and narrative spirit for the whole for for the whole project, which is not a small thing, and as important, I would say. So yeah, that's gonna be exciting for sure. And also, just to share with you some of my concerns or challenges that I see moving forward, is, as for instance, anything that I do for this animatic, it's gonna be suffering from the same um, problems that anything that I have shown you so far, and is that I haven't started the whole main design process to an aesthetics of things. So, what any type of, let's say, character or spaceship that I show in this animatic will be most probably not representative of what the project is later on. So I might actually need to make updates onto into that animatic, right? To kind of adapt. Um, let's say if I show some spaceship, but still the design language is not what it's supposed to be, and that's something that hopefully I can achieve, and it's just to come up with some design language that is going to be very um, distinctive for the IP. Same with characters and that. But as you might know me, I think I will be spending quite a lot of time and love with character designs, because that's my That's my weakest. How do you say? It's my soft spot. I love it, and that's what I enjoy the most doing. And I think that's where I will be putting a lot of effort and use characters as the main axis to kind of define and show this universe through their lives and experiences. So yeah, I have so many ideas. You have no idea, so many cool stuff in my head. But yeah. All right. I don't know, man. Do you have any more questions? Again, about the Patreon itself, or about the projects or the universe. And of course, if I mean, if you want to help out just to spread the word for the Patreon, I will be extremely appreciative of it. Because yeah, it's at the end of the day, everything is about reaching as many people as possible, with the hope that just a tiny part will be interested. And so yeah, if any tiny grain of sand, of help, of push, it's appreciated, and might make the difference. So yeah, if you can help out with that, I will be extremely appreciative. Peter, so just to help you thinking, in real parts, the tangible was gold and treasure, simplified, but it is just a backdrop to pirates wanting autonomy, freedom, etc. Yeah, yeah, of course. I mean, yes, that's uh, one of the reasons why the main theme of the project is space pirates is not, once again, because yeah, it's just cool. Well, yes, they are cool. I mean, the concept is pretty cool. I mean, I'm a huge fan of science fiction, so space is yeah. But the pirates themselves, the idea of piracy and why it came to be, is extremely complex and extremely interesting. And that's something that I find extremely fascinating, and that's why I wanted to focus into. And yeah, so it's, again, it's not about just the chest of gold, like you say, but there are plenty of reasons and motivations for people to become pirates throughout the ages, and different historical contexts. So yeah, I'm diving deep into all of that. Again, this project, most than anything, is about piracy and what it entails. So that means it's about, you could say, to a high degree, about um, social, religious, and economic inequality in society, or in their societies. Um, the struggle against that, and how all those complex um, dynamics create um, pirates, right? And what they want, and in certain way, like like you say, for instance, this idea of freedom, and which you could say it's pretty noble, right? So it's and with good reasons, right? So it's like, let's say in the time of the Buccaneers, for just to go with something specific. So yeah, we are talking about a time where, yeah, people are ruled by kings and emperors. People are literally, if not literally slaves, they live like slaves, right? um, and there are literal slaves as well. But I mean, just like common here, uh, life is pretty harsh, and you are abused by the system to such, and by the nobles and the church, and I mean, it is insane. I mean, it's difficult for us, people from nowadays, to really put ourselves into the skin of common people that live at that time, on the level of injustice that they were used to live under. And that created just the perfect soup, one could say, to people trying to aspire for something different, and for resentment, and a feel of anger, and a feel of revenge, and an entitlement, right? Of yeah. So it opens such a fascinating and endless world of possibilities from a narrative point of view, that I think it's a gold mine. um, and yeah, and I'm gonna be focusing mainly about those things, through the characters, through their experiences, through the setting and context of why things are happening in these planets, and why things are the way they are. You don't have cool looking pirates just because they are bad, and they are a treasure to hunt or something like that. But they are very good and compelling reasons for those things to be. And yeah. So again, I'm diving pretty hardcore into all these things. That's why when I'm saying that, um, kind of trying to define the project in very general terms, you could say that it is some. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I shouldn't say this because I might confuse things a little bit. But yeah, anyway, it is an aspect of history that it's well, as you might know, I'm a big fan of history, so I like history in general. But but this specific thing about piracy and pirates, the more that I've been reading about, the more I've been doing research about it, the more I've been fascinated by it. And yeah, it is insane. And the more I've been reading and learning about it, the more I've been thinking of how silly it is that most of films and stories that we get in nowadays culture about pirates goes about talk about, I don't know, very cartoonish stuff, and using monsters and ghosts and stuff like that, when some of the things that been happening in history that happen to real people are way more insane than any monster that you could invent for a Pirates of the Caribbean film. It is just insane level of epic stories and situations, and pure craziness. I mean, some stuff that you could barely believe if they would show it on a film, of how incredible certain things were. So yeah, again, I I can promise you that that's the one of the main pillars for this project. Um, and as I was saying, I've been thinking and making research for this project for years now. So I had a lot of time to think about stuff. Yeah. But anyway, I don't want to. I don't know how that might have sound, Peter. I really appreciate what you meant, and I completely agree with you. Right. So, yes. Juan, the project looks really interesting, Miguel. Thanks, Juan. Much appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Aaron Brand, hello again. Nice to see your stream again. Aaron, and thank you for joining once again. Welcome. Welcome back. David De Luca, really nice project. I really have to go now. Keep up the good work and take care. You too, David. Thanks a lot for passing by. Take care. Bye. Luis, I'm a little busy while you explain the different tiers, so sorry, I can imagine that all the levels will be described in the release date, right? Thank you. Yeah, Luis, yes, yeah, don't worry, for sure. I mean, once the Patreon is released, everything will be there, for sure. I might do, it's the launch is this Saturday, coming Saturday. So I don't know if I would have time to prepare like a condensed video with all the proper information. But I mean, it's gonna be displayed in a very easy way on the Patreon itself. So yeah. And the Johan, I was looking for your how to draw Space Marines course. I couldn't find anything online. Sorry, I have been out of the loop. Did something happen to it? Welcome to the stream. And yeah, no worries. Yes, something happened to it. It's been happened things to it for a very long time. It's just it haven't been released yet. But it's gonna be released very, very soon. As soon as the 22nd of this month, so in a week and a half, to be more specific. So I will put up an announcement premiere on my YouTube channel this week, and it's gonna be if you didn't know, or it's gonna be for free on my YouTube channel. So yes. Not this Saturday, next one. It's going to be released the first episode because there are going to be several episodes. So good night, everyone. Miguel looks awesome. Peter, thanks a lot. I will send you my email address. So you can send me the subtitles for the first episode, just on the subject. Take care, man. And the one, oh, okay. Glad to have not missed it. It will be the first art tutorial I have ever spent money on. Well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but it's not gonna be your first one because it's gonna be for free. So you are not gonna have to spend a dime on it. So yeah. All right, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. Thanks a lot, everybody, for joining. For all your questions, and yes. So remember, this Saturday is the launch of the Patreon, and if by any means you are interested, please be sure not to forget to check out the Patreon. And if you might know about anybody that might be interested, please let them know as well. And Yes, I will put the premiere also about the free tutorial on my YouTube channel for the 22nd. So don't forget about that as well. And see you next week. And by then the Patreon will be up and running. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens then. Maybe nobody decide to to join the Patreon, and I will be sad and depressed. Well, probably not, but yeah, anyway. All right, thanks again for joining. Take care. Paint and draw a lot. Have fun doing it. And yes, see you next week, same day, same time. Bye bye.